That is one of the most revolutionary things that we never talk about as being revolutionary. I mean, in my world, I was in, been in political marketing for decades. Like it has changed everything, but here's what it's done that's bad is that in capitalism, people are no longer willing to pay as much
Yep.
for the skills that require Adobe because they're like, I'll just get a 22-year-old and they'll do Canva. It's good enough. And that's a problem. And that's how I often think of AI for a lot of us, especially I'm getting older. I'm expensive. It's like, well, we could have good enough and save a lot of money.
Yeah. And I don't know that the platforms have any incentives to show people anything other than good enough. Right? If you're Google and you run YouTube, it's really weird for the YouTube content moderation team or the recommendation algorithm team to say, we think AI content is bad, because a huge other part of Google is ferociously making the AI content.
That's right. Has spent
Right?
all its money.
It's the same problem at Meta. You name a tech company, they all have this sorting problem where some enormous part of the company has to say that the work that the other part of the company generates is bad, and those things are just going to crash into each other, and I don't know who's going to win. I really don't know who's going to win. The reason all the big platform companies, particularly social companies, are investing so heavily into video, AI generated video, it's not some noble mission to democratize Adobe Premiere. It's so that you can plug in assets and have it generate video advertising in social video. So you're like, here's the shoes I want to sell. Like, here's some copy. Like, push a button, and it'll just make you a compelling video ad. And it won't make 5 for 5 cohorts. It'll make 5 million individually targeted video ads. That's the dream. I mean, that's literally the thing that they're chasing after. This thing already, glimmers of it already exist in tech. You have to have that idea. You have to assemble the stack of technologies. You have to get, an army of offshore Canva users to generate. I'm saying this is like the glimmer of this is already built into the TikTok ad product, where TikTok is selling this capability directly to advertisers. And so you just see everyone's sort of terrified at this moment. Here's why we're barreling towards this. It's not as noble as we're all saying out loud. It's to generate more good enough advertising at massive scale and hopefully sell more shoes. I am hopeful that the market responds to this by saying there will be a thing that provides some higher quality, that some people will get paid higher rates. And I think the challenging part when you democratize a capability is that something that used to be hard for a few people to do and guaranteed high rates for that whole set of a few people, the bottom's going to fall out and only the very best get a higher rate. And that rate might be actually higher than it was before. But the sort of make a living high rate might just disappear. And that, the knock-on effects of that are crazy. How do you become the person who spends years grinding away in the middle to become the person who's at the top? Where does that market go? Who are those people going to be? Who is going to subsidize that work? How do you get someone? I was very fortunate. I've written a lot of sentences. I was very fortunate to get paid a bunch of money to write sentences for 20 years and take the time to think about all the sentences. Where is that going to come from? If when I started, I was just writing AI quality slop sentences, someone's got to say, well, I think there's some potential in your sentences. And I don't know who that person's going to be. So I think that stuff is worth worrying about. But overall, that Canva example, right? The floor is going to get higher. It's very hard to say to a bunch of small businesses, we want your floor to stay low, right? It's to communicate, in the formats that we now demand communicate. And that is a real tension.